Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are still solving rain analysis question, Professor Chidume's textbook, okay, on rain analysis. Exercise, that is chapter 1, exercise 1, question number IV. We have solved question number 1 there, question number 2, I, 2I, 2II. We are now in question number 2 IV. And it said that find all the values of x, which is an element of a real number, that satisfy the inequality absolute value of x squared minus 4 is less than 5. Now, to solve this, remember that we always use two methods. So we're going to use two methods to solve this. So the first method is very important. You need to learn it, okay? But the second method is easy. But this first method works everywhere in inequality. But the second one does not really work everywhere, okay? So pay attention to this first one. Now, to solve this, the first thing you need to note is that x squared minus 4 is the same thing as saying x squared minus 2 squared, and this is difference of 2 squared, which is what? X minus 2 and what? X plus 2. Okay, so which means that the absolute value of x squared minus 4 less than 5 is same as saying the absolute value of x minus 2 and x plus 2, okay, which is less than what? 5. And then you should know that the absolute value of AB is the same thing as saying absolute value of A, absolute value of B. So if I separate this, I'm going to have the absolute value of x minus 2, the absolute value of x plus 2 is less than what? 5. Now to solve this, before that, let me just take you back to the concept of absolute value. The concept of absolute value says that the absolute value of x is equal to what? It's going to be that x itself if and only if that x is a positive number or 0. If it is greater than or equal to 0, then it's going to be x itself. But it's going to be negative itself if and only if that x is negative or less than 0. Negative is something that's less than 0. So an example to this is that if x is now 5, for example, let x be 5. If you look at this, see that 5 is a positive number. So the absolute value of 5 will not give you just 5 itself because it's a positive number. Now, if it is 0, the absolute value of 0 is 0 because it is 0. But for example, if it is now negative 5, so the absolute value of negative 5 is what? Negative itself, negative of that negative 5 itself, which will give you what? Positive. So that is why we say that absolute value must be positive. Okay, so now let us use the concept of this absolute value to solve this. Now, if you look at this, let us equate this to 0. Let's set this to 0. If we set the first one to 0, which is x minus 2, to get the critical point is equal to 0, we're going to have that x will now be equal to what? 2. Now, we'll do this one. X plus 2 is equal to 0 to see that x is equal to what? Minus 2. So if they are both on the real line, let me draw my real line. This is minus 2 and this is 2. If you look at this very well, you see that this is partitioned into 3 parts. We have this first part, the second part, and the third part. So on the first part, we have that for this one will now be that this side will now be that x is strictly less than what? Minus 2 for this side. In this middle here, we have that minus 2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than what? 2. Then the last part is that x is what? Greater than 2. Okay? So that is that. So now, that means we're going to solve this using 3 cases. We have 3 cases in the solution of this. So the first case, that is case 1. For case 1, we're going to have that when x is strictly less than what? 2. When x is less than what? Minus 2. Now, if x is less than minus 2, it shows that if x is less than minus 2, let's see what is going to happen for the first one here. So choose any number that is less than minus 2. That is minus 3 is less than minus 2. So if I put minus 3 here, minus 3 minus 2 will give you what? Minus 5, which shows that this man here is negative. And absolute value said that if it is negative, it's going to be negative of itself. So to get this man, so I have absolute value of x minus 2, absolute value of x plus 2 is less than 5. Okay, now for this one, they say that x is less than minus 2. That's the first case. Now we chose any number which is minus 3. Minus 3 is less than minus 2. If I put it here now, you see that minus 3 minus 2 is giving me what? Minus 5, a negative number. So the absolute value of a negative number is what? Negative of itself. And negative of this thing will now be what? Negative of this thing will now be negative of this to give you negative x. Negative of this to give you plus 2. Okay? Now, we are still saying that x is less than what? Minus 2, which we chose minus 3. Minus 3 plus 2 gave us what? Minus 1. And minus 1 is a negative number. So the absolute value of a negative number is negative of itself, which is what? Negative x negative 2. Okay? Then it is less than what? 5. So now let us open the bracket. If we open the bracket, this time this is giving me x squared. This time this is giving me plus 2x. This time this is giving me minus 2x. This time this is giving me minus 4 is less than what? 5. So 2x minus 2x is gone. So I'm left with what? X squared minus 4 is less than what? 5. So this one coming to this side, I'm going to have x squared minus 4 minus 5 is less than 0. So therefore, x squared minus 9 is less than 0. So therefore, x squared minus 3 squared is less than 0. So what do we have? X minus 3 and x plus 3 is less than what? 0. Now, how do we solve this? How do we solve this inequality? We are now done with absolute value. So we now have just an inequality. So how do we solve this inequality, quadratic inequality? We do the same thing again. We get the critical point. So the critical point here is that x is equal to 3, obviously. So we have the point of 3. The critical point here is that x is what? Minus 3, obviously. So we have the point of minus 3. So the point we have here is that for this point we have that here is that what? X is less than minus 3. And here we have that what? That minus 3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than what? 3. And then finally here we have that x is greater than or equal to what? 3. Okay? Here is greater than or equal to, sorry. Okay. So having these three cases, so now let us now check when x is less than minus 3, case 1. When x is less than minus 3. For case 1 here, when x is less than minus 3. So choose any number that is less than minus 3. For example, minus 4. You will see that minus 4 minus 3 will give you what? Minus 7. Okay? Now, minus 4 plus 3 will give you minus 1. So now you see that minus 7 times minus 1 is giving me 7. And 7 is not negative because we say that the product of the two of them must give you a negative number. So this one will not work. You see that now? So in this case now, we want to choose any number that is between minus 3 and then since minus 3, if you choose minus 3 itself, let's choose minus 3 itself, we're going to get 0. And 0 can never be less than 0. You see that? So we're going to have 0. So in this case now, so let us have just less than like this. You understand? Because 0 cannot be less than 0. So let's have something like this. And then we're going to have something like this. Because if you choose 3 itself, it's not going to work. You're going to have 0 being less than 0, which is not possible. So we're going to have this. So now, let us choose any number that is between minus 3 and 3. So choose any number between minus 3 and 3. Example, 2. 2 is between minus 3 and 3. So if I put 2 here, I'm going to be having 2 minus 3 to give you what? Minus 1, right? And then 2 plus 3 will give you 5. And then minus 1 times 5 is giving me what? Minus 5. And minus 5 is what? Less than 0. So our answer here, this is correct. So our answer here is that x is an element of an open bracket because there is no equal to open bracket of minus 3 and 3. Okay? Now, let us choose a number that is greater than 3. If we choose a number that is greater than 3, we're going to have any number that is greater than 3 is like 4. Okay, 4. 4 minus 1 will give you, 4 minus 3 will give you 1, right? 4 minus 3 will give you 1, and 4 plus 3 will give you, 4 plus 3 will give you what? 4 plus 3 will give you 7, and the product of them is 0. So this one does not work as well. So the only thing that works is this. So the solution to this is giving us this one for case 1. Okay? So that is the solution for case 1. So we move to case 2. I hope you understood how I solved this. So you are going to be picking a number and be testing if the product of the result will give you a negative number according to what we have here. So that is for case 1. So we go to case 2. So remember, for our case 2, so in this one, we now have that x is an element of an open interval of -3 and 3. So case 2. So now for case 2, remember that our case 2 is the middle here, where we say that -2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than what? 2. Okay? Oh, sorry. In this case, sorry, we have to check. We have this and we have this. So we have to draw it and know what the real answer is supposed to be. I forgot that. So with this and this, we're going to get the union of the two of them, right? Yes, I think the union of the two of them. Yes. Or the intersection of the two of them. I think the intersection of the two of them, not the union of the two of them. Yeah. It's in the cases you have the union. So the intersection of the two of them will give you the result. So for the two of them, let us draw the two of them. So we have -3 here. We have -2 here. And then we have 3 this side. So for this one, we have that, what do we have for this one? We have that is, we have this and this. And then for this one, we have this, that is this going this way. That is open bracket of this. And then negative infinity somewhere here. So the intersection is just these two people. The intersection is just these two people. So the result there is between -3 and -2. It's obvious that the intersection is just here. This is where they have in common. So the answer for the combination of for case 1, the answer for case 1 is just that x is an element of, if you combine these two, the intersection of these two is an element of -3, -2, right? So that is that for case 1. So now let's move to case 2. In case 2, like I said, for case 2, we said that -2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than what? 2. Okay. Now in this case, we are going to do the same thing again. In this case now, we are picking a number. In fact, we can even decide to separate it. If you want to separate it here, you will see that x, that this implies that x is greater than or equal to what? -2, right? And then x is less than 2. Okay? To separate it. So now, if x is greater than or equal to -2, if x is greater than or equal to -2, that is, or we can just pick any element. Let us pick any element between the two of them. If we pick any element between the two of them, I think there is a problem somewhere. Because picking any element between the two of them will affect the solution. Okay? Okay, let's check. Now, if I pick -3, you see that -3 -2 is giving me negative. You understand? And if I pick, for example, 1, in fact, if I pick 5 is giving me positive. So that is the problem I'm having in that case. So what do we do there? Okay. Okay. -2. I'm trying to check something here. Okay, sorry. This one is for this, and this one is for this. Sorry. That is the mistake I'm making here. Sorry. So this first one is for this. So we are picking that x is less than 2. And x is less than 2 shows that x minus 2 is less than 0. So x minus 2 is less than 0 shows that x minus 2 is negative. So x minus 2 being negative is to take the negative of this one. So I have absolute value of x minus 2, absolute value of x plus 2, is less than 5. So for this one now, if you take this one here, you see that x minus 2 is negative. So this one is negative. An absolute value of a negative number is negative of itself. So negative of this thing will give you minus x plus 2. Okay? Now, for this one now, is this one coming here, showing that x plus 2 is positive. And x plus 2 is positive means that inside here is positive. And the absolute value of a positive number is positive. This is now 5. So open bracket here to have this time this to give you negative x squared, and then this time this to give you, what do I have? For this is difference of two squares. This is difference of two squares. This can be written as 2 minus x and 2 plus x is less than 5. And difference of two squares will give you 4 minus x squared is less than what? 5. So this one coming to this side to have that 4 minus 5 minus x squared is less than 0. So what do we have here? This and this is giving me minus 1 minus x squared is less than 0. So the problem, so what is now the problem there? Okay. So which means multiplying everybody by positive to have that x squared plus 1 is greater than what? 0. So x squared plus 1 is greater than 0. So now, so how do we solve that inequality? So the solution to this inequality, how do we solve this inequality now? X squared plus 1 is greater than 0. So if you solve this inequality, you are going to be getting that the solution lies between, that x lies between minus 2, 2. Okay? So you can solve that inequality to see if it is correct. According to what I have here, that the solution of this inequality is this. So if you now combine this one with this one, then you now see what we're going to have. In fact, solving this inequality is difficult. Solving it is difficult. So I think we are only taking the solution that satisfies the case 2 is just to take this one. Okay? And this one is just this. Solving this one, we cannot factorize this. So solving it will be difficult anyways. So we are just picking this. This one will satisfy that condition. So we are having this. That is why we took this as a solution to case 1. Case 2. This is solution to case 2. So let's now go to case 3 when x is strictly greater than 2. That is case 3. Okay. So for case 3, case 3 is where we say that s is greater than or equal to what? 2. So when I have that the absolute value of x minus 2, the absolute value of x plus 2 is less than 5. So now in this case, we are taking that x is greater than or equal to 2. That is, let's say from 3. Let's say 3. So 3, if you put 3 here, 3 minus this is positive. So here is positive. And the absolute value of a positive number is positive. Okay? And here again, if you put here is equally positive again. And then it will say it's less than 5. So if you open this bracket, you're going to have x squared minus 4 is less than 5. So x squared minus 4 minus 5 is less than 0. So we're having that what? That x squared minus 9 is less than 0. So I think we have solved this one before. And then when we solved it, we got that x is an element of minus 3, 3. Then if you combine it with this one, what do we have? Let us combine it this one to see what we're going to have. This is minus 3, and then this is 2, and then this is 3. So here is from here to here, why this one is moving this way as well. So the combination is these two. So solution to case 3 is simply that x is an element of 2 and 3. X is an element of 2 and 3. Okay? So x is an element of 2 and 3. I think that is the condition, that is the correct thing for that. And that 2 is a closed set. Don't forget that the 2 is a closed set, greater than or equal to. So here should be a closed set, because here is ticked. So if you combine the 3 of them now, if you combine this one with this one with this one, So the union of the three of them is what is going to give us the solution. Okay, the union of the three of them is what is going to give us the solution. So what will now be the union of the three of them? Okay, so let's check the union. If we unite the three of them, let's draw it. Let's draw it now. I'm having that here is minus 3, minus 2. We have 2 and 3. We have here 2 and 3. See that to unite them is just this and this. So the union of all of them is from here to here. So that means that the solution to that, the solution to everything is now that x is an element of what? Minus 3, comma 3. That is the solution to everything, like everything. Okay? So I hope you understood this one. So the easiest one is the second method. That's the easiest one. But this first one, you need to know it. You really need to know it. So the second method says that what? You should know that the absolute value of x being less than a implies that minus a is less than x, which is less than a. So if we apply this here, we have that the absolute value of x squared minus 4 is less than 5, implies that minus 5 is less than x squared minus 4, which is less than 5. So if you do that, you're going to see that this one is coming to this one coming to this side and this one going to the other side. I'm going to be having that. What do we have there? We're going to have that or add 4 to everywhere. So minus 5 plus 4 is less than x squared, which is less than what? 5 plus 4. So we're having that minus 1 is less than x squared, which is less than what? 9. Okay? So having this now, we are going to see that so having this, let us separate it. So we're going to separate it to have that minus 1 is less than x squared, and then x squared is less than 9. So having this one, we are going to see that, in fact, this one is going to x squared. In fact, this one covers all the real number. All the real number. This one covers all the real number. So, but for here we're going to have that x squared, or rather, watch. If this one comes here, we're going to have this one going here. We're going to have that x squared plus 1 is less than 0, right? Okay, it's pointing at 0. Sorry, it's pointing at 0. It's greater than 0. So x squared plus is greater than 0. So this covers all the real number. So, but for here, we have this, and it is less than, like in the other one. Okay, let me not go there. So we have this now. So having this, remember we have solved this before. And the answer we got here is simply that x is an element of what? Minus 3, comma 3. If you remember when we solved it. So, and the intersection of these two is just this one. So this is the solution, which is exactly what we got here. So thank you very much for watching. Please ask your question on the comment section. I'm going to answer that. Bye-bye.